keep my head up, and you will end this.
I'm just getting warmed up. This is Von Clausewitz shit. Total fucking war. I'm gonna pull the whole thing down. I'm gonna bring the whole fucking diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's gonna be biblical.
Good morning. It's July 13th, 2018. I'm Eric. How's everyone doing this morning? I hope you're all well. I'm here at another YouTuber's video. And the purpose I have, and I'm not going to play his video, I'm not going to steal his work, but the name of the channel is Florida Marquee, I believe that's how you pronounce it. I'm going to put the link for this video in the description box, so you can come to your own conclusion here. They say, why prison inmates will rule SHTF from day one, 100% undeniable. And I'm here to rebuttal this video. Maybe he didn't take into account some of these things, but I know he did others because he mentioned it. For example, the fact that inmates have loved ones on the outside. Okay? So, SHTF is going to happen one way or the other. I've talked about this ad nauseum. Probability. Probability says that the longer we don't see a massive extinction level event, the more likely it becomes with each passing day. And I'd also like to point out that an enforcement officer, and there's my comment, agrees with him. And his name is Black Eagle. I'm currently an officer and have been for the past 16 years. This is absolutely true, what you are saying. These convicts are highly intelligent, physically fit, and have already adapted to SHTF by going to live in prison. If and when they get weapons, it's a done deal. They are united and will do anything to survive. Alright, that's his comment. What kind of officer, I must wonder, is he? Because these people are not ready for SHTF. Okay, going to prison is a personal SHTF, and for the most part, you have 3 square meals a day. You're allowed to get money put on your accounts, and you can buy more food. So, a lot of these inmates, unless you're at a gladiator school, they live pretty comfortably, okay? Yes, they work out, and yes, a lot of them are very smart, but they're overestimating the intelligence of most inmates. Now, I just got out of county jail, and let me tell you, most of the people in there are dumbed down to such a degree that they need prison, alright? I know somebody personally who's like that. They're so stupid that they can't survive out here. They need prison. Alright, and I'm going to hit one more comment in here because it was a good comment. Okay, there's a lot of good comments in here, and the one I was going to talk about, I cannot find again. Where's it at here? Okay. this comes from Joel Litton. So you really think the population with the least amount of supplies, weapons, shelter, time to prepare, connections are going to be the ones to survive simply because they're the meanest? Yeah, right. Even if they do all get out, they will be starting with nothing and will be delayed. I don't need to go over the rest of it, okay? And he's right. This guy is right. And there's other comments. And I really strongly suggest anyone who sees this video, I mean, I only have 100 subscribers, or maybe even a little less than that, after YouTube destroyed my channel. Alright, so some prison inmates, they represent 2,220,300 people. Our population is over 300 million. Of the prison inmates, 747,408 are sexual predators or have sex offenses. Alright? Many of these sex offenders would be killed by other inmates right off the bat. If you know about prison, or you've ever gone to prison, you would know that sexual predators are the #1 target of other inmates in prison. They are not liked at all. Now, if you're a cop killer or something like that, you will be held as, you know, being the guy, the man. But if you're a sex offender, your life is in jeopardy as soon as you walk in those doors. And what this all boils down to is, right now we have a bunch of media people, celebrities, politicians trying to start a civil war. Are they going to be successful? I have no idea. But they're trying. And should they be successful, the civil war is going to be about killing off a certain demographic within our country. So, and the demographic I'm referring to are white males. Okay, and why do they want to kill white males off? Well, white males are the ones who demand freedom. White males are the ones capable of fighting for that freedom. We are the ones with most of the guns. We are the ones with most of the training. And we are the ones with most of the brains. Okay? We are, most of us anyway, I mean a large portion of the white male population. And most of us do not wish to be slaves. And don't get me wrong, there are white males out there who are perfectly comfortable sucking the ass of the state and being a slave, but it is the white people who demanded justice, you know, Magna Carta, Bill of Rights, these things. And to that end, they would just as soon see the white male perish as much as possible. So we're looking at a genocide of white people, basically, through a proxy of the Civil War. And of course, it will be democide, not genocide. But there are 8 stages to genocide or democide, whichever you want to call it. Really is the same thing. Before we get into the 8 stages, let's lay some groundwork here. The International Convention for the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide defines genocide as, in the present convention, genocide means any of the following acts committed with the intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group as such. A. Killing members of the group. B. Causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group. C. Deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. D. Imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group. C. Or E rather, forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. And as far as I can see, now I don't know about E, but the rest of them, they are a thing here in the United States and every other white European-based country. The convention declares the following acts punishable. A. Genocide. B. Conspiracy to commit genocide. C. Direct and public incitement to commit genocide. And we see this in the media and with these politicians, some of them. And D. Attempt to commit genocide. And C. Complicity in genocide. They go over intent, but I'm going to go ahead and skip that, okay? The intent is pretty clear. So the genocidal process has 8 phases. These phases are continually implemented. They don't stop once started. So the genocidal process, prevention of genocide, requires a structural understanding of the genocidal process. Genocide has 8 stages or operational processes. The first stage precedes later stages, but continue to operate throughout the process. So, continues to operate. All these stages operate throughout the whole process. The first stage is classification. All languages and cultures require classification, division of the national and social world into categories. We distinguish and classify objects and people. All cultures have categories to distinguish between us and them, between members of our group and others. We treat different categories of people differently. Racial and ethnic classifications may be defined by absurdly detailed laws. The Nazi Nuremberg Law, the one-drop laws of segregation in America, or apartheid racial classification laws in South Africa. Racist societies often prohibit mixed categories and outlaw miscegenation. Sorry about that. Bipolar societies are the most likely to have genocide. In Rwanda and other African countries, children are the infanticity of their father, either Tutsi or Hutu. No one is mixed. Mixed marriages do not result in mixed children, according to the tribes there in Africa. Symbolization. We use symbols to name and signify our classifications. We name some people Hutu and others Tutsi, or Jewish or Gypsy, or Christian or Muslim. Sometimes physical characteristics, such as skin color or nose shape, become symbols for classification, and in our case it is our white skin. Other symbols like customary dress or facial scars are socially imposed by groups on their own members. After the process has reached later stages, dehumanization, organization, and polarization, genocidal governments in the preparation stage often require members of a targeted group to wear an identifying symbol or distinctive clothing. You know, like the big yellow star in Nazi Germany. The next phase is dehumanization. Classification and symbolization are fundamental operations in all cultures. They become steps of genocide only when combined with dehumanization. Of course, we see dehumanization going on for the white male and whites, and we have been for about 25 years. Okay? We've been the target of dehumanization by all kinds of people. Denial of the humanity of others is the step that permits killing with impunity. The universal human adherence of murder of members of one's own group is overcome by treating the victims as less than human. In incitements to genocide, the target groups are called distinguishing or disgusting animal names. Nazi propaganda called Jews rats or vermin. Rwanda Hutu hate radio referred to Tutsis as cockroaches. The targeted group is often likened to a disease, microbe, infections, or a cancer, and a body politic. Bodies of genocide victims are often mutilated to express this denial of humanity. Such atrocities then become the justification for revenge killings because they are evidence that the killers must be monsters, not human beings themselves. And we should be looking for these things to start happening now. As a matter of fact, there was a contestant for a reality show, and I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's where you know, they get a group of guys together, and it's a chick, and they compete to date the woman. The name of the show really does escape me at the moment, but nonetheless, it was a black woman, and there was a white male in the group, and he ended up being lynched. Okay? Ended up being lynched over his tweets, and none of which were racist or anything like that. They were conservative in nature, actually. So, let's move on to the next category. So far we have some classification, symbolization, and dehumanization. All of these things have begun to take place. Organization. And this too has taken place. Genocide is always collective because it derives its impetus from group identification. It is always organized, often by states, but also by militias and hate groups. And in our case, it's you know, you can probably look at Antifa now as a militia because they're armed. And I'm not talking about a constitutional militia. I'm talking about a militia like the ones you may find in Africa or other third world nations. So, yeah. And by the way, you know, they dropped off the radar for some time. And just before they dropped off the radar, they were talking about getting arms and training, and probably they did that, and still are. Planning need not be elaborate. Okay? Hindu mobs may hunt down Sikhs or Muslims, led by local leaders. Methods of killing need not be complex. Tutsis in Rwanda died from machetes. Muslim Chams in Cambodia from hoe blades. So, we see the organization taking place. The social organization of genocide varies by culture. It reaches its most mechanized, bureaucratic form in the Nazi death camps, but it is always organized, whether by the Nazi SS or the Rwandan, some shit I can't pronounce, government or tribes. Death squads may be trained for mass murder, Antifa, as in Rwanda, and then force everyone to participate, spreading hysteria and overcoming individual resistance. Terrorist groups will pose one of the greatest threats of genocidal mass murder in the future as they gain access to chemical, biological, and even nuclear weapons. But for today, we're not worried about those terrorists. We're worried about our government and its Civil War proxies, Black Lives Matter, Antifa, and groups alike that. So, your biggest threat is not prisoners. If anything, we would need these guys on our side. Seriously. Polarization. Genocide proceeds in a downward cycle of killing until, like a whirlwind, it reaches the vortex of mass murder. Killings by one group may provoke revenge killings by another. And by the way, if our group is being killed, then we have every right to defend ourselves. We have every right to begin operations, right? So I would not call them revenge killings. I would call them self-defense killings. Such massacres are aimed at polarization, the systemic elimination of moderates who would slow the cycle. The first to be killed in a genocide are moderates from the killing group who oppose the extremists. The Hutu Supreme Court Chief Justice and Prime Minister in Rwanda, the Tutsi Archbishop in Burundi, extremists target moderate leaders and their families. Preparation. Preparation for genocide includes identification. Lists of victims are drawn up, and by the way, there are lists out there for such a thing. Okay? Preparations also includes expropriation of the property of the victims, and we see Black Lives Matter and other groups demanding white people give over some of their income and their property. So, you know, and look, I'm not saying black people as a whole want to see this happen. I'm saying that a large portion of black people and Mexicans and others want to see this happen. Alright? The next phase is extermination. The seventh step, the final solution, is extermination. It is considered extermination rather than murder because the victims are not considered human. They are vermin, rats, or cockroaches. Killing is described by euphemism or purification, ethnic cleansing, was used in Bosnia. So, and we're seeing this. We're seeing these things. We're nearly at the extermination phase, okay? And of course, we have denial. And the only thing to prevent such a thing is we should be attacking each of these phases. But denial, every genocide is followed by denial. The mass graves are dug up and hidden. The historical records are burned or closed to historians. Even during the genocide, those committing the crimes dismiss reports as propaganda. Now, it's hard for anyone to argue that the first 6 phases of genocide are not currently taking place. It should be rather obvious. So, the biggest threat to you always has been and always will be the state. They are believed to have the right to rule over everyone else. They are believed to have the right to be able to kill everyone else with impunity. And most citizens would cheer on the state committing these crimes, and do a lot of the time. I mean, think about it, people. Most people believe that law enforcement has a right to come to your home, drag you out of there, and incarcerate you for whatever reason they have. And most people think that they have a right to kill you. And when you have a nation of people who believe wholeheartedly that the government has these rights, then your concern should not be prisoners. It should be those putting these individuals into prison. I'm going to share some statistics with you right quick. Okay, so as you can see, I have statistics for prison offenses. The number one thing people are in prison for are drugs. And that's E. They represent 78,784 people. The next one is weapons and explosives. Now, how can either of these things be considered crimes in the first place? Do we not have a right to do with our body as we wish? I think we do. But somehow that's become criminalized, and people are locked away for it. And what about M? Weapons, explosives, and arson. I will concentrate mostly on the weapons and explosives. We are guaranteed in the Constitution, Bill of Rights, the right to bear arms. And that would include explosives. Okay? It says nothing about being criminal and not being able to. It's very clear, the Second Amendment, and so the people in jail for weapons or explosives should not be there. The people in jail for drugs should not be there. So, if you look at our overall population, you would see that these inmates are outnumbered by a huge margin. Huge margin. And therefore would pose little threat overall to the public during SHTF. If you're white, you should be concerned with the 25-year or more trend of the dehumanization of white people. You think about this for a minute. We're blamed for everything. Everything. Everything that people of color go through as people of color. These people do not understand, apparently, that white people go through the same stuff. Poverty, being killed by police, being killed by other ethnic groups. Okay, as a matter of fact, the black on white crime versus white on black crime, there's no comparison. Whites are targeted far more often by black folks than vice versa. So, and what leads to civil war? And see, the Civil War is supposed to be the proxy of genocide. So what leads to civil war? I have a screenshot. It's called Greed and Grievance. I'm going to hit this abstract right quick to give you the nutshell here. We investigate the causes of civil war using a new data set of wars during 1960 through 1999. Rebellion may be explained by atypically severe grievance such as high inequality, a lack of political rights, or ethnic and religious divisions in society. Alternatively, it might be explained by atypical opportunities for building a rebel organization. While it is difficult to find proxies for grievances and opportunities, we find that political and social variables that are most obviously related to grievances have little oh man, they don't explain what the why. Okay, my tongue got tied on that one. Explanatory, power is what they say. So it doesn't explain why the Civil War happened. Okay. By contrast, economic variables, which could proxy some grievances but are perhaps more obviously related to the viability of rebellion, provide considerably more explanation. So, this is the two combined are what creates a civil war, and these things are being combined here in the United States. So this guy makes pretty good videos, and has a far better sub count than myself, so he's got to be right. You know what I'm saying? Right? He's correct, because he has 20,000 subs and 4,859 views, whereas my pitiful 9,900 subs and 10 views, I must be wrong, right? Now, we can see the news media fomenting civil war. The president and his rhetoric are right there with them, and they keep feeding the people the idea of hope. Clinging to hope is pathetic, it's pitiful, and it stops people from doing what they have to do to win. It stops people from doing what they have to do to survive. So if you're hopeful, you need to shed yourself of such hope, because ultimately there is none. As you can see, I subscribe to his channel too. Okay, I'm a subscriber to him. I like most of his videos, and I just happen to think he's wrong on this one. I happen to think that our biggest threat is the state and those who wish to commit genocide on white people. I hope everyone has a good day. Remember, kill the state before the state kills you. One last thing. I need your help. I need you to subscribe, share, thumbs up, and if I am worthy of your change, throw me some change on PayPal. All the links are in the description box below. And again, kill the state before the state kills you.